and welcome. I'm John, and this is Unique Wargaming Terrain. This is the weekly Wednesday Warhammer / Wargaming questions and answers. This is an off-the-cuff video, guys, so I just film it and upload it. There's no editing involved. So if you're new to the channel, you know, this Wednesday video is just all model focused, to do with models, paint techniques, tools, any sneaky materials that we can use, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's just model focus, not terrain, models. There is a terrain build every week. And for the regulars here, guys, for the love, it's that time again. Right, so last week's questions and answers. We're talking about codexes and starting an army for fresh. There's one question that came through that I forgot about. It came through from last week, but I forgot to talk about it last week, was the data cards. So in 40k you can buy a pack of data cards. Now, you don't need them to play the game, okay? But if you can get them, because they are very, very handy. And basically what it is, I believe, because I haven't got one yet, mine's still on the way, a unit in the codex will have a data card. So it has all its stats, all its equipment, etc, 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 etc. Stratagems be on the card. Yeah, so you're not flicking through an army book or a codex, shall I say, to find, what does that rule do? What is that rule? The amount of times I've played a war game, and it could be a 10-hour game, but we've spent like an hour just throughout the game. Oh, let me just take that rule. Is that strength 3 or strength 4? Let me just check. You know, it's a lot handier to have a piece of card there with all the stats on. Now, some people may not want to buy them or spend, I think it's 12 quid on them. Some people may, do I? Here is a sneaky thing you can do. These are record cards, okay? Or you can get addressed cards as well. Addressed cards are like this, but they're thicker. They're a proper thick card, but with lines on them. So all you do is write the unit, all the stat lines and everything else, all the special rules for that unit. There's your card. This costs €1 for a pack. Okay, there is 100 in here. So save yourself 11 quid. You can just do that. It takes a bit of writing, but saving 11 quid. Now, the good thing with that as well is, if you wanted, you know, if you're a veteran at the game and you want to spice things up your opponent, you can take your stratagems, have your stratagems written down on one side, like whatever the stratagem is. On the other side, write stratagems and have them all face down. So all you can see is stratagems, and you draw so many, your opponent draws so many, and that's the only ones you can play. Not for the whole game. As soon as you play one, you can draw another one, but they're the ones that you can play. It's a new dynamic to the game, rather than just, I'm going to do this one now, I'm going to do that one, and have little combos that go on. Another question. What do I do with my empty paint pots? Is there anything handy and easy to do? Now, the empty paint pots, okay, let's go over there. This is PVA, I'm full of PVA. So this is an empty paint pot, okay? This is actually a mixing pot, when they used to sell them as empty mixing pots so you can mix your colours up. But this one I put PVA glue in, okay? So I'm not squeezing it out of a bottle onto the model. I squeeze it into here, take it from there with my PVA brush. I've seen a few Orc players turn these into death dreads. Okay, now that's an insane idea, but I've seen it happen. Another thing that you could do, what, you know, I've done this as well, but I've only done it with where are we? My black paint. Okay, so with my black paint, I'll take a bit of the normal acrylic black paint. I'll put it in there, not a lot, just quarter of the way up, and then I'll put water into it, and I give it a good shake, and I'm basically turning it into a wash. Now, because that paint doesn't have an awful lot of medium like these do, okay, when you put that in here and you water it down, it doesn't turn into a wash, it just waters it down. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, this model here, yeah, you can see he's all silver. Okay, let me get on close. let's just pretend for one minute he's painted and I've had to rebase him. I put the gravel on the base. Now I'm not going to spray the whole thing because I'm going to mess the paint job up. So what I would do with that wash then is just put it onto the gravel, okay? And it gives the gravel an undercoat. Really easy, really simple. Now, let me grab a, okay, Rhinoxide. Okay, so base paint. Now, when I get down to say quartered way or less than quartered way, where I'm going to have to put the brush into the pot to get paint, and I'm going to end up with paint all around the silver, all around, sorry, the metal strip on the brush and all that, okay, and all up here. That's going to really mess the brush up. So what I would do then is I would fill it up with some water, okay, and you essentially turn it into a wash, but you can then use it to try and highlight like a layer paint, but with that base colour wash, okay. That is a little bit for an advanced painter, but those of you that are getting into the painting, just take this on board, because 6 months time, a year's time, when you're absolutely spot on, you'll go, oh, okay, hold on, that was that idea that John spoke about. Let me try that, and you'll have a little go, and you'll take the idea, and you will either use it the way that I'm talking, or you'll modify it to suit your needs and the way that you paint, because everyone paints differently. Okay. Now, another question I've had is, what's the difference in the paints? This is a difficult question for me to answer, because I haven't used any contrast paints yet. I understand the concept of it. Okay, so let me just start off right. Rhinoxide, that's a base layer, base paint, and what that does, from what I know, when you paint it on, it should one, maybe two thin coats, and it should cover up anything underneath. Okay, it's a base layer paint. What we are here, a base one, a layer paint. Now, a layer paint, I'm not sure if I've talked about layer paints before, but a layer paint is a brilliant paint in the sense that, let's say you're painting a cloak, you can put your base colour on. Let's just say Nagra Night, okay? It's the base colour, it's a base paint. So we put down the base colour on the cloak, and then we use the layer paint along the ridges of the cloak, around the edges as well, okay? When you put the layer paint on, it will come up really bright, and then as it dries, it dulls right down. And then when it dulls down and it's dry, you use it again and bring the paint up again. Now what happens with that then, after 2 or 3 coats, you start getting lighter areas. So all the raised areas start, getting highlighted really easily. Now, then you've got your metallic paints, okay? Now I've got a crazy assortment of metallic paints, because 20 plus years in the hobby. Everything from the old polished blue, which is an amazing colour. If you're regular on the channel, you would have seen the crystalline structure terrain that I made, and I used the polished blue to paint it, because it gives me a nice blue, but shimmers it. You've got things like beaten copper. Now some of the metallics now, I've got a layer iron breaker, so it's a layer paint, but it's a metallic, okay? Then I've got this one, which is a lead belcher, but this is for the airbrush, okay? Now I already can see the liquid moving in there, okay? See it moving? That's really watered down. Now the airbrush paint, should I say, is very, very watered down. Not to a wash stage, but it's watered down so it can flow through the airbrush nice and easily. Then you've got technical paint. Now I don't have no technical paint here. I've never needed it. And now that I go, oh, let me try some, we're on level 5 lockdown, so I can't. We can order it in, but technical paint would do things like rust effect, and don't get me wrong, with the technical paint, I've never used it. Okay, so I can't say definitely this is great or this is. I've never used it, but my understanding, it gives you things like rust effect. I'm sure there's. I think there's one. I think I covered one actually. Away. Yeah, that's weathering effects. But think there's one that you put on onto the base, and it looks like a mud, and as it dries, it sort of cracks and makes it look like a dry earth. You know, all of those technical paints are brilliant to have as well, because they do have their place. So you might have a technical paint and use it on one model every 6 months, but it's better to have it and you have the opportunity to use it rather than not have it and need it. What else we got? So I've got a lot of these old paints. Okay, look, this one here. This is a foundation. Now, the reason I'm showing you these old paints as well is because you can sometimes pick these up on eBay. Okay, unopened boxes of paint, or, you know, it's a pot but it's unopened. Okay, so if you come across that, some of these colours are good. A foundation is the same as the base paint. Sometimes I find the colour a little bit, not thicker, but it dries a little bit different than what, if you say a base colour and you paint it on, it will dry that colour. But as the foundation sometimes would dry a little bit different depending on what undercoat you used. So if you use a white undercoat, it would pretty much come up lighter than what on the pot. If you use a black undercoat, it would come up a bit darker. So if you had like there's one of them that's a grey, I can't remember what it's called, but I did have some. But if you had that on, put it onto robes, and you painted the robes like a white first of all, on top of a black undercoat, and then use that grey, it would make it look like proper robes. It was nice effect. Yeah, like these ones. Some of these paints are absolutely so sought after, these old GW ones, because of the way the colour dries and the colour goes on. So guys, there's 3 questions answered there. As usual, if you have any questions, chuck them below, or send me a message on Messenger. You know, it's not a problem. If you've enjoyed this video, guys, hit like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications. The terrain build this week is absolutely amazing. Still a lot of work to do on it, but it's getting there. I used the Dremel this week, so first time I've ever used it. I love it. Very simple to use, very easy. I might cover it on a weekly basis because it's a tool, but what I want to do with that first of all is try and find an instant that I'm going to use it on a model. Okay, or use it something to do with models, not terrain, and then I can say, okay, well, this is what I'm going to use. And the first thing that comes to mind is there's a little drill bit on it that I can use to drill the gun barrels out on Space Marines. I might test it out. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, guys, I'm waffling on too much now. I'll see you next week. Take it easy.